All right, I'll call to order. It's 9 a.m. I'll call to order the June 1st meeting of the Saline County Board of Commissioners. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Shadwick?
Here.
Commissioner Sparks? Commissioner Vidrickson?
Here.
Commissioner Weiss?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Okay, if everyone would make sure that their microphones and all phones and other electronic devices are muted for the meeting. I'll go to Brad to see if we have any Zoom members joining us today.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have anybody on the Zoom call at this time.
Okay, thank you, Brad. We will have our flag salute. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now we'll go to our citizen input portion, where citizens may speak on county government. It's limited to 3 minutes, and it's pertaining to items that are not on today's agenda. Does anyone wish to speak?
Norman Reynolds, Salina. I got more information here on Biden's 30-30 plan release. It's being put on hold for about 6 months before they take action, and it does affect the county. You need to read that. You got it, Robert? You don't, do you?
Excuse me?
I asked you if you got the latest information on it.
I've been.
Okay, thank you so
And
much, Norman.
my next comment is, when we purchased the land for the jail site, who done the title search on it, and how far back did you go? Did you go back to 1803? You better look into that, because there's people got claim against this land.
Okay, thank you, Norm. I will now, anyone else wish to speak? We'll now move into our consent agenda. Consent agenda includes approval of tax roll adjustments and approval of public forum agenda. I would like to make one change. There's an executive session that is on today's agenda that I would like to postpone to next week. Any commissioners have any problem with that, or
Fine by me.
good with that? Okay, the consent agenda will go as presented with that exception. We'll now move into our action items. Item number 1.
RFA 172-21, bid award for bulk fuel containment with Justin Mader, County Engineer.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning,
Morning.
Justin.
So I'm here this morning to discuss and take action on a Saline County Road and Bridge Department request to award bid for bulk fuel containment project. Sealed bids were open on May 19th, 2021 at 11 a.m., and we received 2 bids. You should have in your packet the bid tabulations, which shows some details of the bid. Currently, the road and bridge above ground bulk fuel tanks, which we have 1 gasoline and 1 diesel fuel, has an earth containment berm. During the 2017 federal EPA inspection, they highly recommended that this containment system be a sealed concrete containment system. They noted that the cost of a single cleanup from a fuel spill within the earthen berm would well exceed the cost of a concrete containment. Therefore, this project includes the construction of a reinforced concrete walls and floor around the existing fuel tanks and a concrete approach pavement. Alternatives for action would be number 1, approve the low bid. Alternative 2 would be to approve the second low bid, or 3, reject all bids and provide direction to the road and bridge staff. Staff recommends to award the project to the low bidder, Hutton Corporation, for a total of $148,243. Funds for this project will be taken from the CIP account. In the 2017, this project was approved in the CIP for $75,000. Construction costs have, increased significantly since the 2017 estimate. I have discussed this increase in the cost with the county administrator, and he is in support of accepting these bids. you have any questions?
Justin, this is something that is required by the state, is that correct? Or the EPA, or what's driving this?
It's what's driving this is the EPA, and it's their strong recommendation to have a project like this. And yeah, I mean, just like they said, the cost of a fuel cleanup from an earth dam or from an earth berm, you know, would significantly be higher than a concrete containment, because you got to take all that material out, the earth, the contaminated soil, and dispose of it somehow. And so this is really based off of their recommendation.
And bring me up to speed.
Started in 2018. We've had some issues. We're trying to get some electric lines moved before this project has been let out for construction. And that's taken a little while, you know, with even just last year, because the plan was to put it out for bid last year. Just with the COVID pandemic, everything kind of shut down. We couldn't get electricians out there to move the electric lines before this project could be awarded. And so it's just been one of those projects that's just kind of drug on for a little while. Again, it's not a mandate from the EPA, you know, and so that's why it didn't get completed right away. It was just a recommendation.
And I assume we have studied this out and looked long range to make sure that this is where it needs to be and the size it needs to be?
Yes, it is.
Any other questions?
None for me.
With no questions, I will.
Well, I do, Jim. Just
Yeah.
a second. Explain to me on the money's going to come from the CIP. Is that where it's coming from?
Yes, that's correct.
Go ahead, Jim.
No, thank you. Well, I would entertain any motions or comments.
Mr. Chairman, I move we award the bid to the lowest bidder, Hutton Corporation, for a total of $148,243 as recommended by staff.
Public comment, too. I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any public comment on this item? If not, then I will call for the vote. Commissioner Shadwick.
Aye.
Commissioner Vidrickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss is aye. Motion carries 3-0. Item number 2.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Have a good day, Justin.
RFA 173-21, Resolution 21-2333, Rural Fire District Number 5, Board of Trustee appointment with Bernie Botson, Deputy Director of Emergency Management.
Good morning,
Morning,
Bernie.
Commissioners. The Emergency Management Office requests approval to the attached resolution to appoint a new board member for Rural Fire District Number 5. And the reason for that is on March 12th, Justin Thrauer resigned as a board trustee, and the fire district has been running one short since then. And they've only had one expression of interest form, and Rural Fire District Number 5 requests that the commission appoint Andrew Needham to fill the remaining term beginning on June 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2024. The alternatives for action are for the board to approve as appointed or disapprove, and the board member will not be appointed, and the district will have to solicit new board members. And the staff recommends that a board appointment be approved, and there is no impact to the county budget.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Nope.
Nope. Any members of the public wish to speak? If not, I'll bring it back to commissioners for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt Resolution 21-2333, appointing Andrew Needham to a Rural Fire District Number 5 Board of Trustees as presented by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll call for the vote. Commissioner Shadwick.
Aye.
Commissioner Vidrickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss, aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
RFA
Thank you, Bernie.
174-21, Resolution 21-2334, Department of Senior Services Advisory Council member appointment with Rosie Welter, Director.
Good morning, Rosie.
Good morning. Senior Services is requesting to adopt Resolution 21-2334 to appoint Rita Deister to the Advisory Council as recommended by the Advisory Council. John Etheridge is no longer able to serve on the council. Rita would serve the remainder of Mr. Etheridge's term. The term will expire January 2024. At that time, Mrs. Deister will have the opportunity to serve another 3-year term. The alternatives are adopt Resolution 21-2334 and approve Rita Deister to serve the remainder of John Etheridge's term on the Advisory Council to expire January of 2024, or suggest another council member. Staff recommendation is to approve Rita Deister. And the budget impact is no budget impact. Service and staffing will remain at full expectation.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners?
My only comment would be that I would hope that somewhere along our chain of command that we would send a letter out to the people that weren't selected, thanking them for their, filling out the paperwork to become one, and that we'd sure like to keep them on our list to serve in some other capacity at some point in time.
I can do that.
And thank them. I don't know whether that comes from administrators or your department, so yeah, please.
Anyone in the public wish to speak? If not, I'll bring it back to the commissioners for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt Resolution 21-2334, appointing Rita Deister to the Department of Senior Services Advisory Council as presented by staff.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We'll call for the vote. Commissioner Shadwick.
Aye.
Commissioner Vidrickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss, aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you.
I think she'll be a good addition to your board.
I do too.
Moving on to item 4.
Spring Creek Township appointment letter with Jamie Doss, County Clerk. Before you, I have a township appointment for Spring Creek. Wes Woodson was previously on the board. He has passed away. His wife has decided to take his position, so I ask that you appoint her to the treasurer for Spring Creek Township.
Get this straight. She will be fulfilling the remainder of,
The term, yes.
and that expires when?
I'm trying to think if he was just up. I think he was just up, so, yeah, so it'll be in 2024.
Okay.
For your term.
Are there any questions, comments from the commissioners?
Nope.
Nope. Anyone in the public? If not, I'll bring it back to the commissioners for more discussion or some possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve by signature the appointment of Faye Woodson to serve as treasurer on the board for Spring Creek Township.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Faye Woodson to serve as treasurer for the board of Spring Creek Township. Call for a vote. Commissioner Shadwick.
Aye.
Commissioner Vidrickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss, aye. Motion carries 3-0. That concludes all our action items. We will now go into informational items. Item number 1.
Expenditure budget request for 2022 with Philip Smith Haynes, County Administrator.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the commission. So This is a milestone in our budget process for 2022. I've been in front of the commission a couple of times to talk about where we are financially and then outline a schedule for budget preparation. We have received requests from the departments, and I have met with the departments and reviewed those, and then your commission has received requests from outside allocation agencies. And so today I'm presenting to you the compilation of all of those expenditure requests. This is not the full budget because it's missing the revenue side. We will not have final revenue numbers until the middle of the month, but people tend to think of budgets as the expenditure side of the house, and so I think it's important to get that information out for you and for the public as soon as possible. So that is part of the packet for today, and from this point, we will be, your commission will be meeting with departments to review their requests, and then we will, as I said, receive the revenue side of the equation, and I will be presenting a budget to the departments to see, with my recommendations, to see if they have any appeals. If they do, those appeals will come to you, and then I will present to you a final budget recommendation in early July. Traditionally, the schedule would call for budget adoption in mid-August to meet a transmittal deadline of August 25th to get to the county clerk. This year, as you know, Senate Bill 13 amended the budget process in Kansas, and so we will have a decision to make when I present the budget to you in July regarding whether this commission intends to hold a revenue-neutral hearing. If you decline to hold the revenue-neutral hearing, we will stick with that traditional August 25th deadline. If you do decide to have the revenue-neutral hearing, that hearing has to occur between July 20th and August 20th, and then we have, between August 20th and September 20th. We have to notify the clerk by July 20th, and then the hearing has to occur between August 20th and September 20th, and then we would submit the final budget no later than October 1. So it's quite a change in process if we decide to go down that path. As I said, we'll know more on the revenue side here in a couple of weeks, but from what I can see right now, I think that's probably not going to be necessary for the county this year. Likely would be necessary for at least one of the fire districts. But this is, as I said, the expenditures that have been requested today, and I'd be happy to try and take any questions either about process or perhaps about some of the specific requests, and then we will meet again on Thursday for more details.
Just a question about the process as we're going through things. And I'm asking a little bit from your past experience at other places. I don't have any other experience in government things, but it would seem easier for me, and let's just look at the commissioner's budget. I mean, we've got copier service, $800, miscellaneous expense, $1,900, supplies office, $600. Makes sense to me that you kind of just build that into just office expenses or something like that. And I see that almost everywhere. And isn't that normal? Just, I don't care whether you spend it on copiers or papers or paper clips. I mean, some of this seems very mundane. I mean, minutia is the better way to say it.
So you're raising an interesting question, Commissioner Shadwick. So the budget that we have presented to the commission, and I'm just following along what has been presented here in the past, is a line item budget. And the line items, you may not care whether it's spent on copiers or paper clips, but The auditors do. So line items are really an accounting device. So that we can sort of keep track of things and make sure they're categorized correctly. Now, an alternative for your commission's consideration would be to not present you with line items, but to aggregate those at the level of what's called a category. So you would only see personnel, contracts, and commodities. And then maybe capital if departments have that. And that would be all you would see for each department. Some commissions like that presentation, and we could certainly move to that if that's the desire of this commission. As a practical matter, legally, we're only adopting a budget at the level of the fund. So in terms of what we can get into trouble for, it's really only if we exceed expenditures for the entire general fund or the entire road and bridge fund. Obviously, I think the commission has an interest in having it a little bit more detailed than that, at least at the department level. But yeah, there are many commissions that have moved away from seeing the line items precisely for the reasons that you've identified.
Right, and just to further clarify, I just feel badly when a department has to come to us to say, we need a file cabinet. I mean, if you need a file cabinet to run your business, buy a file cabinet. I would feel badly that they have to come to us for that small of a thing, so.
Yeah, we have, as a practice, allowed departments to move money around within their line items. And we've really only asked them to justify if they're requesting new money. So, for example, in my department, I'll just pick on Jamie and myself because we happen to be here. So in my department, we have switched some money in the proposed budget between travel and office supplies for next year, just to sort of looking at our historical trends and the things that I think we'll be doing in 2022 and just switch those around. Jamie, on the other hand, the clerk's budget, she feels like they need a little bit of an increase in their lines just because she has some new staff that she needs to train up and didn't feel like she had enough within her existing lines to move it around. So that's really the only thing that we've sort of asked departments to detail. So as you go through those many lines on those 24 pages, you will see some of them have notes, but those notes really only occur where people are asking for new money, not where money has been moved around within existing budgets.
Thank you.
I'd take that a step further, but I feel like it'd be repetitive, and that is the copier service and supplies that are from within the commissioner's department. Well, why can't that just fall under the administrative office and group it all under one thing there, as opposed to a copier? I know what you're doing is we have a copier cost, and some of it's going to be attributable to making out our paperwork every time, but I don't know. It just seems to me like that would be save a little bit, put it under the administrative costs. But I mean, is that appropriate or possible?
It is absolutely possible. Appropriate is sort of a subjective, that answer is more of a subjective answer because the appropriateness is really appropriate for what, right? So if you have a desire to know this is how much it costs to run the commission, then it's more appropriate to have that broken out and to say, okay, well, we make this many copies for the commission, right? If you have a desire to consolidate all of those functions and really don't care how much it costs to run your office versus our office, it's all one office, then yeah, absolutely, that could be combined.
and Thursday's meeting would be an appropriate time to mention those types of things?
Yeah, that would be, certainly, that'd be a great time to know the commission's desire to move those things around.
Well, I'm totally with Commissioner Shadwick on this. The fewer line items that we have per department, the easier it is to differentiate what we're really doing here from our standpoint anyway. So.
Well, and I could certainly, I mean, I will say, I mean, you've seen this level of detail at this time. When I present the budget, the proposed budget in July, it would be very easy to aggregate it at the category level. And then there would be, you know, fewer pieces of paper to deal with at that time.
Well, I mean, obviously, two commissioners aren't here, so we need to listen to them, and they may be like this, and that's fine. If I look at a budget here and it says they're asking for $384,000, I would just, you know, let's give them $384,000 and let them run their. I mean, you know, these are really qualified people to run these departments, and some are elected officials, and let's let them run it the way that they want to. So it's more, I just don't want to micromanage them and say, no, you can't buy that file cabinet. You have to spend that on copiers.
Yes, and I certainly don't think that this commission has done that.
Right.
I mean, you all have not, including your other two colleagues, have not expressed those sentiments.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, we can certainly ask the other commissioners to weigh in, but, you know, like I said, I presented it this way. I could present it the other way later in the process and see which you all prefer. And then
And I always like to think, it's not just what I want. I'm always looking for a future commission. And I think a future commission can really get into micromanaging
Yes.
on that. And where that's not how I like to govern. So that's it. But anyway, we can talk about that on Thursday, too.
Okay, great.
All right, look forward to Thursday. 9 o'clock start time, is that correct?
Well, that takes me into the next item on the agenda, which is the county administrator report. So I'll just segue right into that, because the first thing that I wanted to mention under the county administrator update was Thursday's meeting. So yes, we will be meeting at 9 o'clock over at the Visit Salina Annex, and we will be meeting with the departments. I should let you know, and there was a schedule in your packet at the very end of your packet. Not every department is represented this year. Last year, we went through every single department. This year, since I sort of pre-met with departments, the ones that didn't have any changes, they're like, we don't feel like we need to waste our time or the commission's time. So several of them opted out. So the ones that you see represented are really the ones where they have some changes that they want to address to the commission. And then we will have some opportunity to talk about the commission's budget, the administrator's budget, and then hopefully a little bit of time at the end to delve into some of the questions around like the SB 13.
And this meeting will fall under the COMA rules.
Yes,
Kansas Open Meetings
yes,
Act.
of course it will.
Where the public will be
Absolutely.
invited.
Public is
show up.
always invited. That's why we are making note of it today, why it was included in your packet. Yes, it will not be broadcast, but we will, it's certainly an open meeting, and folks who want to delve into the details of the budget are welcome to attend. The next item that was on the administrator update for today is just an update on the jail. So we did meet again, another half-day session last week with the architects, and went through some information around security electronics, particularly cameras and door hardware. We also went through some colors and, different fabrics and different things. And so we'll be, continuing that conversation. On Thursday, the sheriff and I went over to Johnson County and toured 2 of their facilities to get a sense of some of the things. I got some notes from that we need to go over with the architect. I also went over to Dickinson County, although their project is much different in scale than ours. I was invited over by their administrator. They are just about completed with their project, so it was nice to see one still in the construction stage, and some of the things that they had experienced positively and negatively. Asked our architect a few questions after that, just to make sure that we had things covered, and we did. And then tomorrow, our IT staff and I will be going over to Douglas County to talk with them about that security electronics piece. Douglas County is one of the places that has a dedicated jail IT staff, and so we want to explore with them in detail some of those aspects. And then today, we have another meeting with the architects specifically to go over costs and make sure that we're still on track with budget. So work continues almost every day of the week on the jail project. The next item, I wanted Hannah to just address briefly the radio cutover. So our new radio project that the commission has been very involved on the funding side, it is going live next week. And so, Hannah?
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. So very excited. We've made a lot of very big progress on the radio system itself. Last week, there were 2 days that were spent doing some preliminary testing with the tower that's located up at the Kansas Highway Patrol Training Center, and as well as merging that with the existing coverage that comes from the towers that are owned by the state of Kansas in our surrounding counties. That test really proved that we are ready to cut over, and everything is scheduled to cut over to the new 800 megahertz system at 9 o'clock next Tuesday. So we have gotten a lot of positive feedback from our first responders. The sheriff was a happy sheriff, he said. Even his radios worked in the basement, so he was pretty excited about that. They are working on installing equipment. And really, in all honesty, so this was a short timeline to get us cut over to a new system, and the coverage is just only going to get better. We still have those other 2 tower sites that have to be built out. But as it sits right now, the coverage that we have is better than what is existing on the old UHF system. So certainly happy to answer any questions or concerns that you guys might have about the project.
Obviously, a lot has happened behind the scenes since we talked, because that surprises me that it's done all of a sudden. So it seems all of a sudden. I should say there must have been a lot of stuff go on behind the scenes.
We're a third of the way done. How about that?
Okay.
Like I said, we're a third of the way done, but there's been a lot that's happened.
Well, Hannah, one question. It goes online when?
On Tuesday, June 8th at 9 o'clock.
A week from today.
Yep.
And all the entities have the 800 equipment to radios and such in place.
Yep. They have all of the equipment, all of the portable radios, as well as the mobile radios that are being installed in the cars. That equipment was handed out on the 18th of May. So we've had several of our different first responder agencies that have had an opportunity to kind of play around with it. Obviously, it's a brand new radio. It operates a lot differently than their old equipment that they've had for years and years. But everybody's enjoying it so far.
No, I'm truly amazed that took place in such a short period of time. I congratulate you and that whole committee. So
Now, does that include the towers?
So we still have the 2 other towers that need to be built out.
Okay, all right.
And really, in all, what really saved us in the ability to be able to cut over to the new system so soon was the fact that the tower site at the Kansas Highway Patrol Training Center was already existing. So there was no construction that had to be done with it, just a structural survey to make sure that it was fit. But all the antennas are up on it. All of our equipment is inside the shelter that's located at that tower site, and everything's working appropriately.
Great.
And the last item that I wanted to just give the commissioners a brief update on this morning is our American Rescue Plan funds. So we did file for those funds on Friday. It is about a 4-day turnaround for this federal government to verify that I'm legit and who I say I am before they will transfer the funds to Saline County's bank account. We also did on Friday meet with our consultants from iParametrics for the first time and outlined for them sort of where we are. We've created a group in Microsoft Teams to share information. And so I uploaded our coronavirus relief fund plans to them so that they could see what we had done in the last round for the community, get a sense of what needs we've already met, what needs remain out there. And that is really important because although we have 3 years to spend the funds, we have an opportunity that is a pretty short duration window. And so next Tuesday, the folks from the Salina Airport Authority will be making a presentation to the commission about that. And so we wanted to make sure that we had the consultants prepared so that we can give you all some feedback after you receive that presentation from the Airport Authority about, whether that's advisable or not. So we are moving forward with that. And that's all I had for this morning, but I'd be happy to answer any questions about any of that.
All right. Any questions of the administrator?
Nope.
All right, we will move on to item number 3.
Commissioners' comments?
I do have one comment that I did watch the webinar put on last Friday by the Kansas Department of Revenue and the KAC regarding Senate Bill 13, the changes that are going to take place regarding the removal of the tax lid for this year. And it was a webinar to inform commissioners, what some of the changes are and to help them in the budget process. I guess the things, I didn't get a whole lot from it personally, but some of the things that they brought up, I was already aware of. But they are trying to help us out, that's for sure, getting rid of this tax lid. It's going to be a good thing for county commissions to be able to conduct business and so forth. So.
Nothing.
Yeah, I also attended that webinar, and I think what I gleaned from that is that I have a lot of questions for the county administrator to walk us through all that. It seems like just a lot of logistics, and it impacts the budget process more than anything. So, but I need to learn more.
Well, and then not only the thing that I picked up on there too, Jim, was it dumps a lot on the county clerk. There's a whole lot that's going to go their direction on having to get information out to the public. The costs, the mailing costs are going to be picked up by the state, as I understood that. But it is going to be a liability on the county clerk's office to get information out to each and every taxpayer in the county and within a short period of time. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a new experience for her and her department also. So that was the one thing that I picked up on that was a detriment to the whole thing, I felt.
Very good. Item number 4.
Announcements.
Anyone have any announcements?
Nope.
I'll make a quick announcement. Today is June 1st, so it is the filing deadline at noon. So cities, schools, and special districts have until noon today to file for office if they want to run. So.
Very good. Well, I think that completes our agenda items. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. This meeting's adjourned.